The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. Positive Talk Radio, and yes, if you are a fan of ours, you've seen that face before somewhere. She's was previously on, and she's back again. Her name is Jaimie Sherling, and she is Sherling, excuse me. And she is an author, and she's just survived a storm in Wisconsin and stuff like that. So it's great to have you here, Jaimie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Kevin.
Oh, very nice. If I could pronounce your name and get that straight, that would be really good.
You have Jaimie right, which is the most important one.
That is. And last time you were here, we talked about your book. By the way, how's it going? How's it doing?
It's going well. I've actually shifted gears. It's funny how things can change in a very short amount of time that I have really started editing the second book.
Oh,
So
really?
that happened.
So the second book is already at the. Is it you're editing it, or did you send it to the editor?
Working with the editor. So we go back and forth just in a document, track changes. So I sent it off weeks ago and now got it back and I have work to do. So I send it back to her again.
Is it like a school teacher where she does everything in red ink and then
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, geez.
You think, wow, I don't know anything about grammar. I do know things about grammar, but it's more quotation, some quotation marks are different places and commas, but then it's also tell me more about this and tell me more about this and tell me more about that. And I'm thinking, that's work. I don't want to tell you more about it right now.
Well, it's
But
I go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I've never written a book, so I really would have no earthly idea how meticulous you have to be when you get to the stage of where you're editing for the book, and then you've got somebody that is their life. That they've studied the English language and they understand what's supposed to be and all the rules and all of that I have no earthly idea about. So it would be pretty painful to then go through your manuscript and to redo the things that she would want you to redo without changing the concept of the story, which was the original idea at the beginning.
hmm Luckily, it's nice that I actually like the edits, the easy edits she makes, because in track changes, I just click accept, 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 accept.
Ah.
Those are the easy ones. The ones where I have to dig deeper into things, that's more difficult.
Now, she wants you to dig. She wants more explanation of what it is that you're talking about.
Well, I definitely won't spoil anything because this, not even, there are a lot of people who just don't know anything about a certain event in my life. And it is a pretty significant trauma. And it's not great. So having to dig into that memory is painful. So, yes, if you're retelling fun stories, that's one thing, but if you are retelling traumatic stories and then it's, I want more details. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about this and setting or actions. What exactly did someone say? That's
That can
harder.
be. You don't necessarily ever want to, because that brings it up, and then you end up reliving a
Yes.
traumatic event,
Mhm.
and then things that you had totally forgotten about, I would imagine,
Mhm.
come up when you're retelling the story, and so it adds even more trauma to the trauma.
Exactly. That is exactly, that's what it's been for me. So,
Well, I'm sorry that, but I'm glad you're writing the book, and I'm glad you're getting it out there. By the way, her first book is From Queens to Queens: How the Madison County Drag Community Saved My Life. Madison Drag Community Saved My Life, which is, I didn't know there was. We talked about this before. I didn't know there was one in Madison County, but there is, and which is great. And they saved your life when you were at a particular low point. Is that where you found them?
Yeah, I found them before I was at the low point, which I'm so grateful for because I found them in a very unexpected way. I became friends with people who happened to be drag queens. So I had the different experience than some people who go to a drag show and they see the drag queens and maybe they'll eventually become friends with them or kind of the other way. Whereas I met them and it's like, oh, this is this person. And then they happen to do this performance art activity. And so I found them when I wasn't in that particular low space and then became better friends. And then when I was in that super low spot, they were there for me.
They became your safety net,
They sure did.
along
Mhm.
with their fishnet stockings. I'm kidding. Sorry. Uh,
I mean, yes, also true.
and it was now. I've often wondered, are there can you buy stiletto heels in sizes that like I wear a size 12 double E. Are there stiletto heels that you can buy in that size?
They exist, or they wouldn't be able to perform. I don't know
Are
where
they?
they get them. I haven't asked, but they find them. Mhm.
Now I I have always wondered how women deal with high heels. I can't imagine how I would try and deal with high heels. I'd break my ankles.
I will say some are definitely more comfortable than others. I have found over years and years of wearing heels. Some actually are comfortable. I think it depends on the shape and what the material is, how high the heel is, if it's a skinnier heel or a chunkier heel. And then some are horribly uncomfortable. So it just depends on the shoe.
See, I was a ladies shoe salesman when I was young, and so I would fit women's feet, and of course, the big thing was that all women said that they were size 7. Whether or not they were size 7 was
I agree.
immaterial to the fact that that's what they were. I'm a size 7. No, well, you
Mm-hmm.
measuring at a size 8.5. No, I'm a size 7. Apparently, that has that's an important aspect of their who they are, I guess.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm definitely
Yeah.
not a size 7. I know that. I think there was a time I was a size 7 and my feet have changed. Not
Oh,
anymore.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So, um, when you are, walking around in high heels, it is I could only imagine that how painful it would be, because isn't all your weight on the balls of your feet and your toes?
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
Well, that's a
Mhm.
story for another time. I'm never gonna need heels, I can promise
There
you
you
that.
go. Then don't.
Yes. So now you don't want to go into really the second book because people don't know the story and it's going to be a surprise.
Correct. Mhm.
And is there and are you going to name names and out anybody, or is it
I'm still deciding that. Still it's such in the rough form right now that I'm thinking I wouldn't be surprised if it's 6 months or a year before it's really ready for people.
are you going to do what Dragnet does and change the name to protect the innocent, or are you going to out the
I
people who
have
deserve to
changed a
be
few
outed?
names already, but that hasn't been decided yet either. In my first book, I only changed, let's see, I changed, I think just 1 or 2 names. And I asked everybody. I just used first name, so that was also part of it. It didn't have a first and last name. So if you were either in the Madison area or you really paid attention to drag here, you could figure out who the people were. But for a reader anywhere across the country, a first name wouldn't really mean much of anything. But I did ask everybody first, and one person asked to have a different name. So I gave that person a different name.
Ah,
But
and
everybody else said, "Sure, fine." And again, they were first names.
Yeah. Well, and it I'm sure that you portrayed them, I know from Queens to Queens in a very positive light. Um,
Yes. Well, it was interesting when I asked people, there was a range of answers, some being, "Sure, go ahead, do whatever you want." Like the complete trust. And then others, the other end of the spectrum was, "Well, well, what did you say about me?" So, and I told everybody if they asked that question, I said, "Oh, my friends all sound great. The friends sound good. Every sounds good. There was one character who did not sound particularly good." And
could they guess who that was?
oh yeah, it was very obvious. Did not leave much to the imagination who that person was. But
Oh,
everyone else
well.
sounded great. So if you were a friend and your name was in the book, nothing to be concerned about.
So these books that you're writing are really autobiographical. Is that or are they historical autobiographical slash novels?
I would say autobiographical for sure. They're about me. I wouldn't say historical because I don't go into the history. Like I definitely don't talk about the history of drag. I mean, it's very interesting. And there are other great books that have already been written about it by people much more knowledgeable than me.
Like what is it? Le Cage aux Folles? The Le Cage, I forget the name of the Broadway show that featured drag.
Oh, now I can't think of it either. I'm thinking Kinky Boots, but that's probably not what you mean. And that really wasn't about drag. They just happened to wear really fabulous heeled boots.
Yeah, no, it was, La Cage aux Folles, the ca anyway, I don't speak French, can you tell?
I don't either.
Oh, so in any event, so what are you up to besides, writing books and carrying on?
I'm just living life, one day at a time.
Mhm.
I I have metastatic breast cancer, so I will be most likely in treatment the rest of my life. And I think that is something that people don't understand. I definitely didn't really know about metastatic breast cancer when I was first diagnosed with breast cancer. So that diagnosis was back in 2018 and I had a surgery, I went through treatment, I had radiation and chemotherapy, lost my hair, I had a port that was in, and all in total is probably a good 9 months of everything all together, and then I had the port taken out, and as far as I knew, "Everything's good. You're great. Great." And then fast forward to spring of 2021. Well, actually really fall of 20, I was starting to have some back pains, didn't think much of it, thought about the pandemic, thought about sitting too much, I don't know, getting older, as some people say, which, that's just
It
something I
happens.
ignore. So started to get wanted to take care of my back, and then finally in the spring of 2021, I had just had routine blood work, didn't think much of it, and my blood work was actually fine, but my oncologist who I think oh, I forgot, I did change the name of my oncologist in the book and my surgeon because I felt like, I don't know, HIPAA weird something, I didn't want to put their names, so they have different names, my oncologist and my surgeon, but they know who they are. My oncologist has a copy of my book, so I don't he had read a good portion of it. I don't know if he's done with it yet, but I think he knows who he is. And he's just a wonderful human being who asked the question of, "How's life? How you doing?" And I said, "Oh, fine. Oh, my back hurts all the time," not thinking anything of it and definitely not really thinking cancer because it's like, "Well, we took care of that and this isn't related." And sure enough, had tests, had MRIs and scans and all the things. You take a test and you wait, you take a test and you wait, and then I could tell he was concerned. And sure enough, there was a tumor wrapped around my spine, which is why I was having so much back pain. So they did radiation on that spot really quickly, even before they knew for sure it was cancer. They did radiation on that spot because he was concerned that based on what this tumor was going to do, that it could affect me long term, like paralysis and things like that. So there's tumor around my spine, and then with more tests, they found lesions in my liver. So And that I also had to explain to people that it's not that I have liver cancer, it's that those cancer cells that were connected to my other diagnosis moved to the liver. So the way my oncologist said, well, they were asleep and then they just woke up somewhere else. And there is
And
no cure as of right now for metastatic breast cancer. There isn't a cure. So when I actually sign I remember signing paperwork at the start of treatment because they list off the reasons for treatment and one gets checked off. And it could be a cure, it could be remission, it could be improved general health. So the one that says cured doesn't get checked and you sign off and it's basically they're trying to extend my life as long as possible. But the idea is that it will be there. Or it could keep popping up in other places, which is fun and scary at the same time.
des describe the fun part, if you will.
Not fun. I was just being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I cope with humor. That is something I do. If anybody's read my book, they probably would know that, or if they know me at all. So there's definitely been some coping with humor for sure in the last year. And yeah, because the spot on the spine is good. So it's just scar tissue now, so that's actually really, really great. So it doesn't seem to be an issue there, but it is throughout my liver. So they're trying to work on that and have it not keep spreading across my entire liver.
It's a, it's kind of like a whack-a-mole thing,
That
isn't
is
it?
exactly what it is. Yes. That was something I was gonna put in the second book. I wonder if I actually kept that. That my body is a game of whack-a-mole. I actually had already said that, but who knows if it made it back in the book, I don't know. And that's one so there are 2 traumas in the second book, I will say that. There are 2 distinct ones. And the second one I will spoil 'cause, people who know, they just know. And I also don't think it'd be a big shock that people's cancer comes back. So, that was one of so writing about that has also been difficult, like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that when."
I gotta ask you,
Sure.
I'd like to consider you, a friend, and, I'm really concerned for you, and stuff, but you can also help other people understand a little bit more about what's going on, and that is what went through your mind. I think we all think about it in an abstract kind of way. It's like, if the doctor came to me and said, "Well, you've got," how would you respond to that? And so my question to you is, how did you respond when they came in and said, "You have the big C?"
In 2018 or in 2021? Because they were 2 different experiences.
The 2018 would be probably the first, because you hadn't had it before,
Correct.
and
Mhm.
so it
I
would
did
be
not have it before 2018.
really a scary thing because it's brand new, and you've never had it, well, let me ask you, how 2018, let's go back. How did that come about that they talked to you about it and all that?
So, I have to subtract 1 more year because I had my first mammogram in 2017. Preventative, just trying to take good care of myself. Had that, and there was a scare that year in that they found a couple spots, they checked them and said it's not cancer. So, in 2017, I was very scared. And then the instruction was come back in a year. So when I went back in 2018, I actually wasn't worried at all because I thought, well, they checked it the last time. It's fine. It was fine then. It's going to be fine now. So it's funny how the time that I didn't have the diagnosis, I was more scared than when I actually did have the diagnosis.
Mhm.
And it was new to me personally, but it wasn't new in that my father had a blood cancer and my brother had a blood cancer. So I had experience in dealing with cancer as a family member. So I think that's different too, as opposed to someone who's diagnosed that maybe they've either never known someone as a cancer or no one in their immediate circle. So I think that would be different too, depending on, we're all so different and what your life experiences are coming to that place.
Exactly, and, I'm not sure that I told you that, my brother, had, stage 4 lung cancer. Did we mention that in our
I
first
don't think so.
conversation?
No. I'm sorry.
And he passed away a year ago, or almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in October.
Okay.
And he was in Eastern Washington, which is Eastern Washington is kind of a rural area, and so it's got rural doctors and all that kind of stuff. And so they never really, at least he never said that they were really upfront and honest with him. He
Mm.
had lung cancer and that had metastasized to his brain,
Ah, mhm, mhm.
and then he had brain surgery because they were scared that he was going to lose his eyesight, and it was right by the optic nerve and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So he had brain surgery, but they never addressed the lung cancer itself, and
Um,
they never took it out or any of that. But they never said to him, um, you're terminal." At least
mm.
he never told us that they never said that he's terminal. Um, and that was I thought that was weird that they weren't very either he wasn't honest with us or they weren't honest with him. Which do you think it
Hard
was?
to say, yeah, and I do find that cancer care is different in different spots around the country. There's also disparity racially as well, which I in that arena, I am fortunate twice. I live in a place where I think their cancer care is amazing here. The Carbone Cancer Center is very well respected, and I think their doctors are incredible, and I'm also white. So that I have 2 things going for me that not everyone does. And I don't know. My brother and my dad also had different experiences just based, yeah, where you live. And sometimes it can just come down to the doctor because I think my opinion is that the doctors here in Madison, they're all great. But do I know every single one of them? Of course not. And the funny thing is I never got a second opinion. When I got the diagnosis, I was just assigned, here's your surgeon and here's your oncologist. And I think they're both amazing. And I feel like they're the exact right doctors for me. But that doesn't always happen for sure.
Well, and I'm glad that you have a surgeon and an oncologist that you are very comfortable with.
I am.
That's really important.
I
Mm.
think I mean, of course, there's the medicine and your body's just going to do what your body's going to do. But I do think there is something to trusting your care team, even if it's just peace of mind or helpful to your mental health. And I do. I feel like I trust you. You're going to do you're going to do whatever you can do to keep me alive, so keep doing that. So, I have a lot of trust in them, which not everyone does. And
And
you mentioned Eastern Washington. My father grew up there actually. So I was there years ago in Spokane.
oh yes.
Yeah, so I know Eastern Washington actually.
Oh, very, very cool. Very cool.
Mhm.
I have to ask you because I'm sure that this happens a lot, but when you over the course of time from 17 till now, has your thoughts on your spirituality, on the afterlife, on all of those things, have you given that more thoughts in that period?
I haven't, and I'm sure some people have. I think I've focused more on the here and now, and that's been different. And as far as knowing that your time, I mean, we all know we're gonna die, obviously. The spoiler alert, we're all gonna die. But sorry if you don't know that. But this idea of
Holy shit, are you kidding? We're
I
all gonna die?
whoops, yeah, whoops, I spilled the beans on that one.
That's
But
gonna be the
hearing your
3rd book.
doctor say, "Your life might be lessened," is, "Oh, okay, that's different." And because, of course, we all know things happen and you could die unexpectedly anytime, but having someone tell you that your life might be shorter than they thought it was going to be or that you thought it was going to be, that really can mess with your brain quite a bit. And for me, I don't think I've thought as more about the afterlife, but more here thinking, okay, if I have less time here, who do I want to be with? And focusing, I've focused more really on choosing this is a person I want to spend time with. These are people I want to spend time with. This is how I want to spend my time. That I think I'm more acutely aware of time than I think many people
Oh,
in
absolutely.
general.
Well, most people go sleepwalking through their life,
Sure.
thinking again day to day about, well, I got to go to work, and then I got to go to groceries, and then I got to go to the soccer game, and then I got to, and they don't think in terms of what happens with somebody that you care about, and you're going to leave them, not leave them permanently, but you're going like to work, and somebody that you're living with, or somebody that you care about, or somebody that you're talking to, and I imagine that you would say, make sure that you leave nothing unsaid that you want to have said, because you just don't know.
You
But
don't.
it's just,
Mhm.
and it's not different for you than it is for I. My mother. I think I told you, maybe not. She was 90. She went to play bridge on Wednesday. I talked to her on Tuesday, which we had our weekly call. Played bridge on Wednesday. Went to dinner on Thursday. Died on Friday. And so I didn't have a chance to talk to her again. And so, and I'm not sure that everything was left unsaid. That there was that we were complete,
Mhm.
as it were, because you think she was going to live to be 106, and she
Mhm.
swore that she was going to live to be 106, and it was just, she was there, and then she wasn't, and that happens to all of
Mhm.
us.
Well, and it
So
happens to me too. I think I'm more aware of time, but I have my days. I have my days of sleepwalking and
sure.
sleepwalking through my job and all those things. So I have it too. I just think I have those moments of being very keenly aware of time, probably more than most people, unless they have a similar diagnosis or they've lost someone recently or something. It's kind of like something jars you into thinking that way, I think, in many cases. And some people
No.
just think that way naturally, which is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Some people are by nature positive, and they're thinking in terms of their life experience and all of that, and some people just don't. My best friend who died at 64. By the way, I'm going to be 65 soon. I'm going to really glad about that, because my brother died at 64 and my friend died at 64. I don't
Ugh.
want so anyway.
Cheers
But
to 65.
yes, indeed, yes, indeed. But it's I just lost the train of thought of what I was thinking. Anyway, so but I'm very hopeful that, because I was watching the news or watching a commercial on TV, and that they have a new treatment for your type of breast cancer, or the metastatic breast cancer, that they
Mhm.
said that's a new thing. Are you aware of that?
I am not, but again, that's where the trust of my doctors come in, but I feel like if things took a turn and it was like, we have no other ideas, I would ask them, and I have asked them sometimes because well-meaning people will mention, and so I'll say, "Hey, what about this?" And sometimes it's, "Oh, you can't do that," or "That's a trial," or something, but
Right.
for now, I feel like we'll just do what you say to do, but they are great that if I brought something up, they would answer my question.
Well, good for them. Good for them. So
Mhm,
I'm really glad. Well, you're gonna have the second book is in editing now. And
mhm.
when do you expect to get that out of editing and to get it published?
I'm gonna be conservative and say a year. It could be sooner, but, like, not even a year, like, 9 months even would be conservative, but to think, it's the summer, then we're starting a school year, junior, senior in high school next year, so
So you have a junior and a senior in high school?
I will in the fall, yes. So
Ah, are
so
they,
we'll be going through getting ready potentially for college and then all the pre-getting ready for college, so yes, just boom, boom, 2 in a row, so it'll be junior, senior, and then senior again.
boys or girls?
So my younger son and my elder is gender non-binary, so uses they them pronouns. So it's
Oh,
always hard.
very nice.
Assigned female at birth.
Ah, very good. Well,
Mhm,
that's perfectly fine. And she can go to the prom, or he can go to the prom, or however they choose to make that work for themselves.
mhm,
And that's awesome. So, so with your kids at that age, teenagers,
mhm.
it's a tough time. I can't imagine being a teenager in this day and age.
Me neither. Me neither. It's well, and just the last in this day and age in general, and then the last 2 years they've went through
Oh yeah.
just yeah. So I think they're working through things and then the thought of getting out of high school and on to other adventures. I like that idea, and I think they both like that idea too.
It is, 18 is a good, for me, it was a good time, because I was out on my own when I was 18, 19, right in there, and, so, there's some stress and responsibilities,
Sure.
but that's okay. I got to do and like I was told years later by an employer, "You're not a very good employee," because I'm used to being on my own and doing what I wanted to do. So that's the upside of, now my kids are in their 30s and they just want me to come over and bring my checkbook.
Of course they do. Sounds about right.
Yeah, well, Dad, it's tougher now than it used to be in your day. I never thought that I'd be in a position where somebody would say, "In your day."
No kidding. Mhm.
Yeah. But I got a comment on one of the podcasts, and it had to do with a technical issue of sound, and the guy said, "Yeah, when the guest was speaking and it was loud, and then when the old guy was speaking, it's like,
Hey,
oh, that's not nice."
no, that is not nice.
So,
Mm-mm.
but it's tough. So, but I want to thank you for coming here and talking with me. It's
Thank you for
you.
having me.
Well, you're an awesome person, and I really wish you every moment of happiness in your lifetime.
Thank you, Kevin. Same back to you.
Yeah, because you never know, and we just do the best we can.
That's
Just
all we can do. Mhm.
just do the best you can, and the cool thing is that you're going to leave an imprint, regardless of anything else. You've got a couple of books that are going to leave an imprint on people who read them, and I think that's cool.
Thank you.
And I know that wasn't your intention when you wrote them, but by the way, what what motivated you to write everything down and to write from Queens to Queens?
From Queens to Queens, it was really that community. I was so grateful to them, and I just felt like everyone needs to know how great they are. Everyone needs to know them like I know them.
Cool.
Kind of like a love letter, like a big, long love letter to them.
Exactly. Now, I think that would be a great screenplay and would make a great movie. What do you
I
think?
agree. I completely agree. If you know anybody, if anybody's listening, I still wouldn't be upset if Reese Witherspoon just happened to read my book one of these days. She's got a book club. She likes books and it's a short read. You could read it in a day. Reese could knock that out. And then who knows?
Yep, and then it's a underground lifestyle that a lot of people don't know the ins and outs of, but I'm sure that, as you know, a lot of the people that are in that community are really seriously funny people.
Oh, hilarious. And really, when I feel so, wait a minute, conceited and what are you saying? The book, it's not even like, oh, it should be a movie because everyone needs to know about me. No, everyone needs to know about them. And I also think drag can be so visually appealing. Just the idea of seeing it on screen, I can see it. And I feel like that alone is just so appealing to people's eyes.
Oh yeah, well, and it's all over the top. The music would be phenomenal,
Of
uh,
course.
obviously.
Exactly. The music, the pictures, just
The
yes, all of that.
costumes, the interactions with people, it would be. I think that it would be exceedingly funny and would be a real visual display. I agree with you.
I agree. I haven't pursued that obviously in a specific way, but I'm thinking that's not how it's going to work. I keep thinking that if it got to that point, it would be someone passed it to someone who passed it to someone to a cousin's brother, sister, somebody, assistant, and then it finally got to somebody. I feel like that's how it would happen. It wouldn't happen in a traditional straight line way.
It never does. It never does.
No,
But if it's destined to have it happen,
exactly.
then now have you ever worked at or written a screenplay? I have no idea how
No.
that would even go.
I don't either. I think I'm just this is my guess. I can't speak to it, but I feel like it's you're adding in probably actions and scenes, and
Yep.
then my book actually has a fair amount of dialogue. So I think it's I would think the screenplay is well, sometimes you need to take things out because how many books are made and you read the book, they can't put the entire book
No.
in a movie because it's too long. So you have to choose what you're focusing on. Yeah, I think more like scenes and directions are probably a part of a screenplay, but I would want that to be in someone else's hands. I will say that right now. Someone else. Someone else. Hopefully someone very smart and talented, I would hope. Would
I
it's fun, but it's also scary to think like, wow, what if that did happen and you lost creative control? So you're just thinking, I do want this to be made, but I want it to be made well. So can we make sure that happens too? But hopefully it would. Well, you'd have talented, smart, educated people making it.
well, nobody wants to make a movie that bombs.
That's
However,
very
there
true.
are
Exactly. They want it to be good, so they would work hard to make it good.
yeah, and unfortunately, there are a lot of them that do bomb, but,
Unfortunately.
because they make so many of them. It's like being an author. They make there's so many books that are out there,
Hmm. Oh,
but
absolutely. The amount that come out in a year is just staggering.
well, it's like podcasts. Hey, I don't know, let's go have a podcast. Everybody wants to do that and stuff,
Hmm.
so it makes it tough, but your book is special. So people need to go buy it and they need to go to your website, which is ydysweets.com. And you can order it from Amazon, from Barnes and Noble, from Mystery to Me. Is that a retailer?
It's an independent bookstore in Madison. So
Oh, very
I
nice.
love that
Very
I'm in a
nice.
couple local stores. So especially for people local to me, I like the idea of go give this local business some support.
Exactly. Now, I've always considered Wisconsin, right?
Hmm.
In kind of the Bible Belt kind of thing area? Is that changed
Ish.
ish?
Eh, I feel like more a little more south might be more true that way, but I do think there are a lot of religious folk here. So,
And do they get along with the drag community okay, and there are no problems?
I feel like I live in a little bit of a bubble that is Madison, and I'm very grateful for that. Is
It's a
they
college town, isn't it?
it's a exactly. We have the college that I went to, so I'm a proud Badger, and then the state capital is here, and then the governor lives here, so you have those pieces. And different parts of the state are different than Madison, I would say.
By the way, you just brought up an interesting point. You had a quarterback there 10 years ago, who is, now who was with the
Oh,
Seattle Seahawks, now he's with the Denver Broncos.
yes, Russell Wilson. I'm a
Ye
fan. So
yes,
I knew about Russell Wilson before a lot of people because Russell Wilson went to NC State, which is where my brother went.
ah,
And a lot of people think too that he transferred to Wisconsin. That's not true. He got his undergrad from NC State and then came to Wisconsin and got his master's.
because he had another year of eligibility,
Exactly. But he didn't
and
transfer per se. So he did graduate from NC State, and my brother just said, "Oh, this quarterback, Russell Wilson, he's going to Wisconsin." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Didn't really think anything of it, and here we are. Russell was
he
fine
was in the
addition.
Rose Bowl, and I can't remember if they won or lost that game, but he had a couple of heartbreaking games.
I think unfortunately, I think they lost the Rose Bowl, but did he win he did win one Super Bowl, I think. Am I right
Yep,
about that or am I wrong
he
about
did.
that?
Oh,
Okay.
yep.
I thought he won one.
He won a Super Bowl and came within a half of a yard of winning a second one.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that act
It was fun to get to watch him play here. So,
yeah, yeah. So
mhm.
so he was a Wisconsin Badger, and
Mhm.
and the interesting thing was the reason he left NC State also is because he wanted to do baseball as well, and they said nope, you can't do that, and stuff. So he turned out to be a miracle for us. That's for darn sure.
We're
So
happy to have him in Wisconsin as long as we did.
yes, indeed, and it was you only had him 1 year,
I
but it
know.
was
It was a
but
fun
he
year.
he played well. He
Mhm.
played well, and it was a surprise to you guys because you didn't really know him all that well.
Right. It's odd when you just get someone new like that as opposed to someone you have a freshman and sophomore quarterback and they're moving up and getting better rather than just he's here and he's really fun to watch and pretty great. Okay.
Yeah. And so you are a football fan.
I am definitely a Badger fan. I don't really follow the NFL too much.
Ah, well, that's because, well, you've got Green Bay up there.
Yeah, but I'm not again from Queens to Queens. I'm not from Wisconsin originally. So I grew
That's
up on the
right.
East Coast. And I will say, and I think a lot of people know this, Wisconsin, Madison is a super fun place to watch a football game. My 16-year-old son will point out to people that it's, one of always top ranked in ESPN game days. And it really is a fun place. Even if you're not that into football, you can have fun at the game, I think. Where that's maybe not always the case and maybe not always the case in the NFL. But I think Camp Randall, it's a good place to watch a game.
College football is an animal unto itself.
True. Hmm.
There isn't, and other than maybe the March Madness for the basketball teams, but football,
Oh yeah.
it's a spectacle, and that stadium holds like 100,000 people, I think, doesn't it?
It's a little less than that, but it's one of the bigger ones. And it's actually getting expanded. So I don't know what the final they're working on some kind of expansion right now. I don't know all these things. My teenager tells me these things. He's up on everything. He knows it. And he wants to go to Wisconsin, so we'll see.
Oh, is he a ball player?
He is not. He could be, he just doesn't want to. He's 16 and 6'2". So
Oh, wow. I
yeah,
wish I
it
was
wouldn't
6'2". I
it's
would.
very weird to look up to your child. And that's been the case for, gosh, I think he passed me maybe a year, at least a year ago, maybe a little more. So it's very weird. And especially being the younger one, that thought of you're the baby, but you are taller than me. So yeah, now he's 6'2", maybe taller. It's very weird.
That
But
must be also weird when he goes, "Hi, mom. How are
hmm
you?" You
yeah.
know?
I was talking with my best friend on the phone and we talk every day, but usually not around the kids. And I think I had taken a walk or I came back inside and he said, hi. And she says, who is that man? She had no idea it was him. I said, hello. She's like, oh my gosh. So it just seemed to drop overnight. So, yes, he's got a very low voice, which
"There's a
now
man
I'm
in
used to
your
it. But if you
house."
hadn't heard it in a while, it really threw Auntie KG.
Well, that's the excitement of being a 16-year-old boy. I
Hmm.
remember vaguely.
Hmm.
It's an exciting and scary time all at the same time.
Yes, I would agree with that. It seems that way for him. Hmm.
Yeah, well, and because, you still at 16 and a loving mom like you are, I'm sure that he still wants to take his 6'2" frame and crawl onto your lap and cuddle.
Well,
But
he would call me from a classroom to ask me a question. Who knows, something maybe important, maybe not. But then he would say goodbye and he'd say, love you, bye. I'm thinking, not all 16-year-olds would do that. So,
nope,
oh,
nope.
that's so sweet. And
It was
it doesn't even cross, I think he doesn't, either it doesn't cross his mind or he doesn't care. He's a kid that definitely some things that other teens would, oh, I'm not going to do that. Or how does that look? Nah, he doesn't. That's not him. So
Well, you've raised him that way. That's good.
I guess so. I've tried. He's special all on his own, but I have worked hard.
We are all special, all on our own, but if you can give a kid self-esteem that they are happy with the person that they look in the mirror at, and they feel good about themselves, you've done your job, mom. And then the rest of it, you trust that he's going to be fine.
Indeed. That's the hope.
Yes, indeed. By the way, we are talking again with Jaimie Sherling. Is it Sherling?
You got it.
Sherling.
Sherling.
Sherling. Sheesh. Jaimie Sherling, she's an author. She's got a book from Queens to Queens. Get that book. It's a marvelous read, and she's got another book that's coming. That when you get that book done, you have to come back on my show. Will you do that?
You got it. Hmm. I can tell you the working title if you want. I
Yes,
can do
please.
that. And it might change, so we'll know if someone listens to this and who knows later. But here we go. I'm tough. Dot dot dot. And I cry a lot.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. It pretty much sums me up as a human. So that's the working title. I mentioned it, and I had had this title actually maybe even a year ago that it just came to my mind, and I mentioned it to my best friend and mentioned it, and he said, "Oh my God, you've never said anything more true about yourself in your life." So that that title might stick. So I'm tough and I cry a lot.
And that because you're human
Indeed.
and you're emotionally available, which
Yes.
a lot of people are not.
I
And
think it helps. I mean, it's exhausting sometimes, but I think it's better in the long run.
yes, indeed. So I'm going to step myself aside here. Step myself aside. I wish English was my first language. I'm going to step aside here and let you tell our audience anything that you would like them to know for now or in the future.
I would like you to know that it's healthy to feel everything that you're feeling. And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, well, I'm going to say they're wrong.
I agree with you 100%. And you're, you know, you got a lot of guts. You got a lot of got a lot of flair, a lot of passion, and you're just a good person. And I want to thank you for being on the show and continuing to be on the show because I'm going to make you come back.
You just let me know. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful day. Go to ydysweets.com. You can get the book From Queens to Queens: How the Madison Drag Community Saved My Life. And you can order it in a bunch of different ways. I suggest you order it from Mystery to Me. It's a small bookstore in Madison, and I think a brick and mortar seller that's an independent. They're going of the way of the dodo bird, so I think that you should support them whenever you can. And I want to thank you again for being here.
Thank you again for having me.
And if you'll wait right there, I will be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of PositiveTalkRadio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named PositiveTalkRadio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another because each other